like 95, 97%. Is Deontay Wilder the greatest knockout artist at heavyweight in the heavyweight division all time?
He's good. He hasn't approached Joe Louis, Joe Frazier, Mike Tyson. Oh, he hasn't approached that kind of recognition yet. No way.
What does he need to do to catch those guys? Because he's knocked out everybody he's faced short of Tyson Fury. So what does he have to do to get to that level where he can say, I am the greatest knockout artist in the heavyweight division of all time?
For me, he has to have a performance like Mike Tyson did over Trouble Burbick. Boy, when I saw that, I was down visiting Vegas, and I thought, guy's a nightmare. Now, when he comes to a Tyson-type knockout of Burbick, then I'll put him up high. But right now, nah.
Is he the hardest puncher ever, George?
Nah.
Think Tyson hit harder than Deontay Wilder does?
And I sure wouldn't be like, you know how you tasting vanilla and chocolate ice cream and saying, nah. I sure wouldn't want to be the tester of those two. That Tyson could hit, man.
We talked to Deontay Wilder last week, George, and he told us that he wanted to be the greatest heavyweight of all time. Where do you rank Deontay Wilder now? And does he have the ability to become the greatest ever? Or is that just impossible for Deontay Wilder?
He's a good fighter, and for the first time, the heavyweight action is there. About to be, but he is not in the picture of the greatest heavyweights yet. Not enough time. Not enough time at all.
He just needs to accomplish more in the ring, more big fights, more title defenses, more belts.
Got to fight more title defenses, and especially no rematches. Rematches don't count.
Okay.
Especially unless they've beaten you or something. You know, rematches don't count. They really don't.
Speaking of rematches,
those are the words of Big George Foreman in regards to Deontay Wilder. He simply says, hey, he hasn't had enough time, which I would disagree with, but continue what George Foreman was saying, that he has to do more in the ring. He's not one of the most powerful or explosive punchers. And rematches don't count. You know, he has to do more. It hasn't been enough time, and he has to be more notarized. He has to fight certain type of fights that mean something. Okay, those are the words of George Foreman. So he's pretty much telling people that, hey, you guys have to jump off this bandwagon. Okay, because everyone that's riding with Wilder or whatnot, or just think Wilder's this or that. Like I've been telling you guys, okay, Wilder, I think he is one of the hardest punchers, you know, but like, how do you rate that anyway? You know, and so that's kind of like what do I think about his punching power? He can hit, he can punch, you know, the right hand only. You know, everything else is pretty much standard or below standards, honestly. Because his jab, he doesn't have a good jab to set up his right hand. You know, a lot of times you see Deontay Wilder throw that right hand when he thinks he has that, you know, that position. If he has that target locked in. But he doesn't really set it up with the jab to see where that target's going to be, and measure it and throw it down. Now he has improved on his right hand because, you know, he used to sling it, right? Like he did in the Fury fight, in the first fight. So, but he's learned to straighten that right hand up versus looping it. Okay, we've seen that in the Dominic Brazil fight too. But as far as him with the competition, I think Deontay knows what he has to do, and if he doesn't, he's a fool. He has to fight the Dillian Whites, the Derek Chisoras, the Anthony Joshuas. He has to fight these guys, okay, and fight them and beat them all, and see if he can beat them all. You know, now Tyson Fury, that rematch, okay. I think that would be it's more anticipated than Luis Ortiz. I feel that was a made up fight that he just picked out of the hat because he was avoiding the Joshua fight. That's my opinion. However, that fight did happen. Again, like George Foreman said, that fight, you know, doesn't count. So what does he mean by that? That means that fight shouldn't have even happened. You know what I'm saying? So I just hated for Luis Ortiz because he was really played. He was the guinea pig in that. And based on the sales, that fight's not going to do too well, so nobody's really going to get paid. However, back to Wilder. Wilder just needs to beat all these guys to be recognized. He has to beat them all, and he has to beat them all in adamant time. Okay? Don't do like you did with Luis Ortiz and fight him 3 or 4 years past his true prime. Fight these guys now. Fight Joshua when he's young. Fight Tyson Fury when he's young. He's fighting Fury, but you have to do more than that. Okay? And we have to see if that power and he can apply that right hand and get the job done with all these other fighters. And the problem with Wilder, though, it is his style. He's a one-punch knockout guy. He has that one trick, a powerful trick. But at the end of the day, if we learned anything from Wilder in this last fight, Dominic Breazeale was just too slow. But Luis Ortiz wasn't a fast fighter. He was experienced, but this guy beat you for 6 rounds. Now, had that referee gave him the nod and let him recover, we don't know what we would have saw. Because he was behind on them scorecards. You know what I'm saying? If he would have got another knockdown, he probably would have got a draw against Luis Ortiz. And in that case, he'd probably be fighting Luis Ortiz again. You see what I'm saying? Just to right his wrongs. But no, with George Foreman saying no, he hasn't earned that yet. I think it has been enough time, though. I would disagree with George. Counterpunching George. It's been enough time. It's just he hasn't done anything in the time that he's had. In 11 years, he hasn't done and hasn't fought the people he's supposed to fight. That's all that means. And what George is saying, oh, well, he hasn't been recognized because of that reason. We know why. Deontay Wilder's resume is terrible. So in 11 years, you fought 2 top 10 opponents. I'm sorry, 3. And that's really, Tyson Fury was added when he came back. And I don't think it warrants him to be added on a top 10 list if he hasn't fought anyone but, tomato cans. Okay, so really it's been Dominic Breazeale, and he was number 4. And then Luis Ortiz, I don't know what he was, honestly, with the WBC. But in 11 years, that's all you've produced on your resume in your career. That's sad. That's why he's getting comments from people like George Foreman, because he lacked the competition, and people protecting him and all that think they had his best interest, but at the end of the day, they actually hurt him. And I'm talking about Shelly Finkel and his management team. They hurt him. But again, of course, he has himself to blame because he's supposed to be, in charge of his own career, supposed to be. But anyway, those are the comments of Foreman. You guys tell me what you think about Foreman's comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.